God has an incredible plan for our lives. Each and every one of us, He wants us not only to live life, but He wants us to live life in abundance, to be people full of joy and people full of peace. Now, it doesn't mean that we feel joy all the time. I don't feel joy all the time. You meet me 10 minutes after I wake up, I have no joy. I'm very grumpy in the morning, and many people around me will say, Father Rob, it's not only in the morning, it's in the afternoon and the evening too. But we're still called not to feel joy, but to bring joy to others, to bring hope to others. And sometimes we don't feel good enough. We don't feel joyful enough. We don't feel strong enough and confident enough. But if only we understood that this call, this invitation to have life in abundance and to bring life in abundance has nothing to do with our feelings, but has everything to do with understanding the call over our lives. I cannot help but be moved by St. Francis Xavier. He was a man who was courageous. He went out of his way. He comes to a place which is foreign to him, a place where he is scared, where he is afraid. He doesn't know if he's going to leave here alive. He doesn't know the people. He doesn't know the culture, but he goes anyway. He goes anyway. You see, one of the biggest mottos that I have in my life, that I live by, is the saying, do it scared. Do it scared. I'll share a secret with you. I'm afraid to be here right now. I don't like standing in front of people. I get scared standing in front of people. I get scared preaching the gospel. I get scared sometimes having to face people when I'm tired and when I'm weak and I'm in a bad mood. But I've learned the greatest way to overcome our fear, to be a people of joy and to bring the hope and the peace of Jesus to others, has nothing to do with how we feel, but everything to do with, even though I'm afraid, even though I'm feeling sad, even though I'm feeling weak, I go forward anyway. I don't know if any one of you here have ever been bungee jumping or skydiving, anyone? But I haven't. But I hear that if you go onto a plane, like you're going to go skydiving, and you get onto a plane and the plane is flying, usually all the people in the plane are trembling, they're shaking, and they're thinking, what have I done? I need to get out of this plane. And the plane is accelerating, taking off, and it's going higher and higher and higher. And as the people look down, they even more doubt their decision. I imagine this is how it was with St. Francis Xavier. He came to a place and there was a lot of opposition, a lot of difficulty, language barriers, everything else that goes with it. He's afraid, he's scared. He's doubting whether God has called him in the first place. But as the plane takes off, all of a sudden it reaches this great altitude and you're seeing clouds beneath you. And it's scary, it's a very scary moment. And the instructor grabs you, hooks you up, and takes you to the edge, and you're holding onto the side saying, no, I don't want to go. Please, I've changed my mind. But the instructor pushes you out of the plane, and all of a sudden you're flying. You're falling and falling and falling and falling. But all of a sudden that fear has to turn into trust, and that trust into exhilaration. And that exhilaration into a life experience that not only changes you, but also changes the way you will forever talk about skydiving. You see, life is full of difficulties, full of moments where we're afraid and we don't know how we're going to get through this. Moments of courage even, where we get into the plane and think, I can do this, and all of a sudden we're there and we're scared again, we're afraid again. But here's the thing. If you're afraid, do it afraid. See, the person who is courageous is not the person who doesn't feel fear. I feel fear. We all feel fear. But the person who is courageous is the one who steps forward even though they are afraid. This was St. Francis Xavier. This was the blind man who cried out to Jesus. He got opposition. People telling him, stop, be quiet, are you crazy? He had doubt, but he still cried out. And 2,000 plus years later, we're still talking about this blind man. How awesome is that? For those of you who are feeling afraid, scared, do it afraid. It's okay to be fearful, but it's not okay to listen to your fear. Don't obey your fear. Obey the God who has called you to life and life in abundance. So now we pray. We pray that God will give us the strength to trust in Him, to love Him, and to move forward as His disciples. So I invite those who are leading us in the prayers of the faithful to lead us in this time of prayer.